Top 5 Best Cereals for Kidney Support, backed by nutrition science. Every single day, your kidneys filter about 50 gallons of blood, quietly removing waste, balancing minerals, and keeping your blood pressure in check. And most people never think about them until something goes wrong. Doctors call the kidneys silent organs because early kidney stress often shows no symptoms at all. By the time fatigue, swelling in the ankles, or rising creatinine levels show up on a lab report, changes may have been building for years. Here's the part almost nobody talks about. What you pour into your bowl at 7 in the morning may be quietly shaping your kidney health for decades. Research from institutions like the National Kidney Foundation and Harvard Medical School has linked certain breakfast patterns to healthier blood pressure, steadier blood sugar, and reduced oxidative stress, all things your kidneys depend on to keep working well. But here's the twist. The cereal aisle is full of traps disguised as heart-healthy and whole grain, loaded with sodium and phosphorus additives that can work against you. Today, we're breaking down 5 cereals that nutrition science actually supports for long-term kidney wellness. The first one might surprise you. The last one is the one almost nobody expects. Before we get into cereal number 1, if you care about aging well and protecting the organs that quietly keep you alive, take a second to hit subscribe, because this channel breaks down real science, not fads. Now, let's start with a grain that's been sitting in kitchens for 100 years, completely underestimated. Steel-Cut Oats rarely get the credit they deserve, mostly because people confuse them with the instant packets loaded with added sugar and sodium. But true Steel-Cut Oats are a different story entirely. They're rich in beta-glucan, a soluble fiber that multiple studies, including research reviewed by the American Society of Nephrology, have linked to healthier blood pressure and improved vascular function. When blood pressure stays in a healthy range, the tiny blood vessels inside your kidneys, called glomeruli, face less mechanical stress over time. Steel-Cut Oats also deliver a meaningful dose of magnesium, a mineral that supports healthy blood vessel relaxation and has been associated with better insulin sensitivity in research from Tufts University. Better blood sugar control matters, because chronically elevated glucose is one of the most damaging forces to small kidney blood vessels. Oats also contain avenanthramides, unique plant compounds found almost nowhere else in the grain world, which have shown antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties in laboratory studies, potentially helping to reduce oxidative stress on kidney tissue over time. For serving size, Mayo Clinic dietitians commonly recommend about half a cup of dry steel-cut oats, roughly 1 cup once cooked, as a reasonable daily portion for most healthy adults. The 3 best ways to prepare them. First, cook them slowly overnight in water with a pinch of cinnamon for natural flavor instead of salt. Second, prepare a half-cup portion and top it with fresh berries and a tablespoon of ground flaxseed for extra fiber. Third, batch cook a large pot at the start of the week and portion it into half-cup servings for grab-and-go mornings. The most common mistake people make is dousing oats in brown sugar or store-bought flavor packets, which quietly reintroduces the sodium and added sugar this cereal is supposed to help you avoid. People managing hypertension or early metabolic syndrome tend to benefit most from this swap. One surprising fact: unlike quick oats, Steel-Cut Oats have a lower glycemic impact simply because of how the grain is cut, not rolled, meaning your body digests them more slowly, which translates to steadier blood sugar for hours after breakfast. Now, here's where things get interesting, because the next cereal on this list is one most health videos completely ignore, and honestly, it might be one of the gentlest options for anyone watching their mineral intake. If this is teaching you something new, drop a comment and let us know which cereal has surprised you so far. Cream of wheat, also known as farina, has an image problem. It's often dismissed as bland or old-fashioned, but from a kidney support standpoint, that blandness is actually its biggest strength. Unlike bran-heavy cereals, farina is naturally low in potassium and phosphorus, 2 minerals that healthy kidneys manage easily, but that can become harder to balance as kidney function naturally shifts with age. According to guidance published by the NIDC, National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, individuals focused on supporting kidney health sometimes benefit from lower mineral load grain options, especially compared to heavily fortified bran cereals. Farina is enriched with iron and B vitamins, including folate, which supports healthy red blood cell production, something particularly relevant since kidneys play a direct role in regulating red blood cell formation through a hormone called erythropoietin. Keeping iron and folate steady supports that entire system working smoothly. Farina is also easy to digest, making it a practical option for older adults who may experience digestive sensitivity. A reasonable serving, according to General USDA guidance, is about 3/4 of a cup cooked, prepared with water or a small amount of low-fat milk, rather than added salt. The 3 best preparation methods. First, cook it with unsweetened almond milk and top with sliced banana for natural sweetness. Second, stir in a teaspoon of unsalted almond butter for healthy fats and flavor. Third, add a dash of cinnamon and a few chopped walnuts for texture and additional antioxidants. The most common mistake is choosing instant-flavored packets, which are often loaded with sodium and artificial additives that undercut the cereal's natural benefits. This option tends to benefit older adults and anyone advised by a physician to be mindful of mineral intake, though anyone with diagnosed kidney disease should always follow personalized guidance from their nephrologist or renal dietitian rather than general content like this. Here's the surprising fact. Farina's simplicity is exactly why some renal dietitians quietly recommend it. In a world of superfood cereals, sometimes the humble, low-mineral option is the smarter everyday choice. Up next is a cereal most Americans have never even considered for breakfast, yet it's been a staple in some of the longest-living populations on Earth. Stick around, because this transition is where the story starts to shift. Unsweetened muesli deserves far more attention than it gets, mostly because people confuse it with sugary granola. Real muesli is simply a blend of raw or lightly toasted whole grains, nuts, and seeds. No added sugar, no syrup coating. What makes it stand out for kidney support is its combination of insoluble and soluble fiber, which research summarized by Cleveland Clinic has connected to healthier gut microbiome diversity. That matters more than people realize. Emerging research suggests the gut and kidneys communicate through what scientists call the gut-kidney axis, where a healthier gut microbiome may help reduce circulating inflammatory compounds that would otherwise place extra burden on kidney filtration. Muesli also typically contains oats, barley, or rye, all of which supply polyphenols, plant compounds with documented antioxidant activity that may help neutralize oxidative stress, a known contributor to gradual kidney tissue wear over time. The seeds often found in muesli, like chia or flax, add omega-3 fatty acids, which multiple studies referenced by Johns Hopkins nutrition researchers have associated with healthier inflammatory markers and improved vascular health. A sensible serving is about half a cup, since muesli is calorie-dense compared to puffed cereals. The 3 best ways to enjoy it. First, soak it overnight in unsweetened yogurt or milk to soften the grains and boost digestibility. Second, pair a half-cup portion with fresh apple slices for natural sweetness instead of dried fruit, which can be higher in concentrated sugar and potassium. Third, sprinkle a small handful over plain yogurt as a crunchy topping rather than eating it as a full bowl. A common mistake is buying muesli that's secretly loaded with added sugars and dried fruit. Always check the ingredient label for added sweeteners. This cereal benefits people focused on long-term metabolic and cardiovascular health, since the gut-kidney connection ties closely to overall inflammation control. The surprising discovery here: some longevity researchers studying Mediterranean and Scandinavian eating patterns have pointed to fiber-rich, unsweetened grain blends like muesli as a quiet contributor to lower rates of chronic disease in those populations. Not as a miracle food, but as a consistent daily habit that adds up over decades. Before we move to cereal number 4, here's a quick thought experiment. Imagine two people with nearly identical health profiles, except one eats a sodium-heavy flaked cereal every morning, and the other chooses a whole grain option with almost no added sodium. 10 years later, their blood pressure readings often tell two very different stories. That's exactly why this next cereal matters, and why sharing this video with someone who still eats sugary flakes every morning could genuinely help them. Old-fashioned rolled barley cereal is one of the most underrated options in American grocery stores, largely because barley is more associated with soup than breakfast. But barley contains one of the highest concentrations of beta-glucan fiber of any common grain, even outperforming oats in some comparative nutrition analyses. Beta-glucan has been studied extensively for its role in supporting healthy cholesterol levels, and healthier cholesterol is directly tied to healthier blood vessels, including the delicate vascular network inside the kidneys. Research highlighted by Harvard's Department of Nutrition has shown that whole grains rich in beta-glucan may help blunt post-meal blood sugar spikes, which matters enormously for kidney health since uncontrolled blood sugar is one of the leading global causes of gradual kidney function decline. Barley also provides selenium, a trace mineral with antioxidant properties that supports the body's natural defense systems against oxidative damage. Unlike many fortified cereals, plain rolled barley contains virtually no added sodium, making portion control simple rather than something you have to fight against. A typical serving is about half a cup dry, cooked in water or low-sodium broth substitute. The three best preparation methods. First, cook it slowly with cinnamon and a splash of vanilla extract for natural flavor. Second, combine cooked barley with roasted vegetables for a savory breakfast bowl instead of the usual sweet routine. Third, mix a half cup with plain yogurt and a small amount of honey for a Mediterranean-inspired parfait. The most common mistake is skipping barley entirely because people assume it's just for soup. But as a breakfast grain, it's remarkably versatile and filling, which also supports healthy weight management, another factor closely tied to kidney wellness. This option tends to benefit people managing cholesterol or early blood sugar concerns, though, as always, individuals on blood thinners or specific medications should check with their doctor, since dramatic increases in vitamin K containing whole grains can occasionally interact with certain prescriptions. Here's something most people don't know. Barley was one of the very first grains ever cultivated by humans, and modern nutrition science is essentially confirming what ancient diets already relied on instinctively. And now, the cereal almost nobody expects, the one that might completely change how you think about boring old grains. If you've made it this far, you clearly care about aging well, so make sure you're subscribed before we reveal it, because this next discovery is the whole reason this video exists. Buckwheat cereal, often sold as kasha or found in whole-grain buckwheat flakes, is the most surprising entry on this list. And despite its name, it isn't even related to wheat. It's a gluten-free seed, technically closer to rhubarb than to grain, and it contains something almost no other breakfast food does: rutin, a powerful flavonoid studied for its ability to support healthy blood vessel strength and circulation. Research referenced by nutrition scientists at Cleveland Clinic has explored how flavonoids like rutin may help protect the delicate capillary networks throughout the body, including those responsible for kidney filtration. Buckwheat is also naturally rich in magnesium and provides a notably complete amino acid profile compared to most grains, meaning it delivers protein quality that's unusually high for something sitting in the cereal aisle. This matters because moderate, high-quality protein sources are generally easier on kidney workload compared to excessive amounts of animal protein, according to dietary patterns discussed by the National Kidney Foundation. Buckwheat also has a notably low glycemic index, meaning it releases glucose into the bloodstream gradually rather than in a sudden spike, which supports the same steady blood sugar pattern that protects kidney blood vessels over time. A reasonable serving is about half a cup cooked, prepared simply with water or unsweetened almond milk. The three best ways to eat it. First, toast the dry buckwheat groats lightly in a dry pan before cooking to bring out a deep, nutty flavor without needing added salt. Second, Combine cooked buckwheat with cinnamon and chopped pecans for a warm, satisfying bowl. Third, cook a batch and refold it into a savory breakfast with sautéed greens for a completely different way to start the day. The most common mistake is assuming buckwheat is inconvenient or unfamiliar, when in reality most grocery stores now carry it in the health food or international aisle, often labeled simply as kasha. This cereal may benefit people looking for a gluten-free, high-fiber option with unique vascular supportive compounds not found in typical wheat or oat-based cereals. The surprising discovery to close on. Despite being one of the least talked about cereals in mainstream American nutrition content, buckwheat has quietly been a staple in Eastern European and Asian diets for centuries, places where researchers have long studied its connection to healthy blood pressure and metabolic stability, making it, ironically, one of the most well-studied, hidden cereals in the world. So there you have it, 5 cereals, each with its own science-backed story. And one final surprise that most people never saw coming. Which one surprised you the most? Was it the humble cream of wheat or the unexpected power of buckwheat? Drop a comment below and let us know, because your stories genuinely shape what we cover next. If this video helped you look at breakfast a little differently, share it with a friend or family member who could use it too, and hit subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into the everyday habits that quietly protect your health.